Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green 19 podcast. I'm Dominique Yates. I'm joined by Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein. Guys, it's been a while since we've all been in person going through this podcast. Went through a few days of training camp, and on this Sunday, got plenty of heat. Was able to soak up some sun.
You can tell who the veteran on the panel is because today was as hot as a training camp practice can get. Standing on that rubber track, it was easily over. Oh,
sorry about that.
Got a waterfall here over here.
Go ahead.
And here I'm calling you the veteran. I'm calling you the veteran, just throwing water everywhere.
It actually felt good, though.
It was easily triple digits on the... I put sunscreen on twice today.
Yeah.
And you look at us, for those who can watch. I'm wearing a black shirt. You're wearing a black shirt. The veteran over there throwing water all over the place. At least he's wearing gray. Tom, that was good planning on your part.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys were thinking because
I wasn't thinking. I got
not.
out of bed. What's clean? What do I see? And let's go.
True.
I got the white hat. I don't like wearing white, but I do when it's in practice.
It was hot. It was hot out there.
It was pretty hot. It wasn't like there have been more humid days. The sun was hot. But, I don't know that it was 99 hot. It just was hot.
It was
I
not.
walked, even when I walked into the locker room after practice, I'm feeling still like full on goblin mode, right? And I'm not quite feeling like a person yet. And I walk in to this new, remarkable, immaculate locker room. I walk in and there's Jordan Love to my left, and he's just like unfolded on the locker, just sitting there, like just not moving. And I'm like, okay, well, if he can feel that way, I feel better about myself.
Well, he also just went through a full-fledged practice.
Well, he wasn't on the rubber track.
That's true.
He wasn't. He's not a corner. He wasn't running wind sprints.
It does bring some heat. That's true, standing on that. But yeah, so this was it was nice heat. So I'm pretty much immune to it though, because I just had it for the past month or whatever in Kentucky. But it was a nice steamy day out there, and we've been able to observe quite a bit over these past few days. And then when you head into Monday and Tuesday, you'll finally get to see some pads and get an idea of even, you can say, another step for these guys as, adding the physicality a little bit. But through these first few days, there's a few things that we can touch on. One, I guess we can start even with Zach Tom, because we were able to speak with him in the locker room since he was able to lock down the extension staying here for the foreseeable future. We can start with you, Ryan. Just, what were your takeaways from that conversation with Zach Tom?
Well, he's obviously very happy, as he should be. He's, a $30 million signing bonus on that $88 million deal is a good reason to be happy. The Packers prioritized this from the start of the offseason. Zach Tom said that going into the Combine in February, the team reached out and told his agent, this is something we want to get done. So it did cut it down to the final clock as far as getting it done before training camp. Zach Tom boarded his flight to Green Bay knowing it was close but not done yet, and that's not the same thing. Close and not done are you want to get over the finish line. He landed in Green Bay to a call from his agent saying, yeah, it's done now. So as he's landing here for training camp, he learns that he's a lot richer than he was when he took off on that flight. But what really stood out to me, I asked him, for all the talk about his versatility, and he is versatile. He can play all five positions. Not a lot of guys, especially at that level, can play to the caliber he can all five positions. And maybe that is still a thing that eventually will be part of his game. But Brian Gutekunst, when he was talking about why pay Zach Tom, he said he secured himself in that right tackle spot. And I asked Zach Tom, how important was it to you for all that versatility to be paid like a top right tackle? He's now a top 5 paid right tackle in the league. He didn't beat her around the bush. He said, yeah, like that. The numbers needed to be there for that. Like, he understands he's versatile, but on the business side, he also understands that he has played like one of the best right tackles in the NFL, and he expects to be paid like that. Now he is paid like that.
Now that we can stick with more just the O-line talk, because they've been throwing Banks into the mix. Obviously, he's one of the new additions. They've been working in a lot of the guys like Monk and Anthony Belton, so many guys. Just from you, Spoon, just what have you kind of seen from the O-line and just as they've been moving pieces around? Obviously, Elton Jenkins hasn't been practicing right now, but from some of the other guys, even Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker, what have you seen just from the O-line right now?
Well, the bottom line is that there's 3 positions that are locked up, barring no injuries. And Aaron Banks will be at left guard, Elton Jenkins will be at center, and Zach Tom will be at right tackle. And so that leaves 2 starting positions and 2 starting positions and a bunch of backup positions. What they made it sort of clear that they were going to open competition at left tackle for Rasheed Walker, and to some degree they have. Walker's the number 1 guy he's on the number 1 offensive line almost every snap or series. But they've given Jordan Morgan some time there. They've given Anthony Belton some time there. They've given Jordan Morgan some time at right guard, which is open. Sean Ryan, of course, has gotten time. Belton has gotten left tackle, right tackle, and I wouldn't rule out him getting some guard stuff at some point. I think really what the only thing that's been different is that Jenkins hasn't been practicing, and so that's forced Sean Ryan to play some center. I think when Jenkins gets back, we'll get a better view of what they're thinking. And, I sort of feel like they're thinking Jordan Morgan at right guard unless he can outperform Rasheed Walker. And I still, you talked about Zach Tom being paid as a right tackle. I am not ruling out the possibility of him playing left tackle at some point because he could do it. And, it's the reason, they wanted to get him signed so badly because he can play right tackle, he can play left tackle, and that's, that's huge.
Yeah.
So if something were to happen to their left tackle, he could step in there. So, it's just, it's going to take so long. It takes the whole camp before you figure out who's where and who's not, who's going to be healthy and all that kind of stuff.
I want to take your temperature on something, Spoon. What are the chances in your mind? Let's speak in the positive. So, what are the chances in your mind that Rasheed Walker is the starting left tackle week 1?
Wow, that's a great question because I have to project, is Jordan Morgan going to be better?
It's tough to say without Elton Jenkins at center because we haven't really seen that full line yet.
Yes.
I get that.
And Anthony Belton is a big man with, second-round picks generally start. And so I would guess that Walker will be the left tackle. Morgan, I predict, will be the right tackle if he's not the right guard if he's not the left tackle. But I'm leaving that totally open. This thing's going to work itself out.
It's early, so I wrote about this. I think until Elton Jenkins comes back, it is very difficult to really get a feel. Like you talk about the open competition at left tackle, to me it has looked more like getting guys experience at left tackle than actually truly competing. Like they've gotten some reps, but there hasn't been many. But then there isn't many because right now Sean Ryan is center, which means that Jordan Morgan's the right guard. And if he's the right guard, he's not getting a lot of reps at left tackle. You really don't know. When Elton Jenkins is center and then you got rotating Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan at right guard potentially, there's more reps at left tackle potentially for Jordan Morgan at left tackle. So it's premature, but I'll just say I'd be very surprised. I'm going to say 90% chance that Rasheed Walker is the left tackle come week 1. Now, week 4, who knows?
Well,
right?
They've also shown that they'll rotate.
Yeah.
They rotated Ryan and Runyon two years ago, right?
They have, yeah. Josh Nyman and Rasheed Walker.
Yeah.
They've rotated
so
left
they're
tackle.
not afraid to do that either. So
that could be a possibility. I think Brian Gutekunst put it very well. He was asked, when you got a guy in Rasheed Walker who has now made 32 starts at left tackle and has played well. He's not a guy. I don't think the Packers see him as someone that they want to extend at $20 million a year annually, which is what he would get on the open market as a starting caliber left tackle. That's what they go for. That's the going rate. I don't think the Packers see him that way right now, but he's played okay. Like, he's not been bad at left tackle in 32 starts. When you've got that guy, Brian Gutekunst, what's it going to take? And he said it's going to take something substantial to pass that guy as your starting left tackle. Like, it's not like they're begging someone to beat Rasheed Walker because they feel like they're just not good enough there going into the season. That's not the situation. I'd say it's 90%. I think that it would be very surprising to me if he's not the starting left tackle.
Especially in the next step, even for me, for some of the guys like Belton and all, like, how do they look with pads when they actually get to go up against the D-line? Because we haven't really seen that yet from some of these guys, so I'm wondering what that next step will be like when you add a little bit more of the physicality and just seeing what it's looked like, especially in run and even in pass protection. Speaking of passing, Spoon, you asked Matt LaFleur about Jordan Love's mobility. A play that we all referenced that we saw throughout this week was rolled out of the pocket and stepped up and threw a 49-yard touchdown pass to Dontayvion Wicks. So at least it appears like the footwork, the mobility seems to, be moving in the right direction. Just, what did you kind of take away from what LaFleur said, and maybe even what you've seen from some of them, the mobility?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I started the question and was going to reference that Wicks play, and LaFleur, before I think I even got everything out, you mean the Wicks play? Mm-hmm. And that was the Jordan Love I remember from 2023 was, finding an open spot where he could get rid of the ball and, feeling a little pressure, but getting out and still being able to, work the field, and throw across his body to the other side of the field. I think LaFleur saw that too, and he didn't want to make too much out of it, but he was like, yeah, that's a guy who's playing without a knee and a groin injury.
Right.
I think that was his bottom line, and then he started talking about how the guy doesn't take sacks, which is absolutely true. He didn't take sacks last year, but he didn't make as many plays out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. He got rid of the ball, he checked it down, whatever. This was Jordan Love getting out of the pocket and making a play. So I'm sure that's what they're looking for. And just, the casual eye, if you've watched Jordan Love, he just looked more nimble, I think. Throughout camp, he's looked more nimble.
Yeah. And Ryan, I guess that's a big thing I'm interested to see with Jordan Love, because you see a play like that, but then we saw like the interception that he threw, just completely didn't see Tyron Hopper right there in the middle of the field. Underthrew a ball a couple of days ago. Xavier McKinney was able to get that pick. So I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of curious to make, how he's kind of progressing, if not, and what is next for Jordan.
Well, to Spoon's point, on the Dontayvion Wicks touchdown, we saw 2023 Jordan Love. Mm-hmm. And then today, we saw 2024 Jordan Love, because that interception they threw to Tyron Hopper was almost, it was identical to the Zach Bond interception in the playoffs. He never saw the linebacker and just threw it right to him. And we've seen that before, not just in July. So I don't know. What do you guys think about how he's been through 4 days?
Well, that interception hit a guy right in his face. Like someone just got blown off the line of scrimmage. And I think they still want him to throw to the right guy. So I don't know. I always take both completions and interceptions with a grain of salt, because the other thing is the Packers defense knows the offense. They know where he's going. I heard the wide receivers talking about it on the sideline today. They're like, they know everything we're doing. So that gives the defense a little bit of an edge. What I look at is the timing, the throw, the ability to make decisions, good decisions, like look people off, determine. There were a couple plays I saw where I really thought he came off a guy when it wasn't open and then hit another completion. There was one was in a 2-minute drill, I think, and it was really impressive. Like, he was looking deep left and then quick came over and hit Dobbs like on an out route or something like that on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff you look for. And all of it, it's training camp. You know, let's see how it goes when I'm just looking. He looks healthier. Mm-hmm. He's throwing the ball well. And that's what you can judge him on. Mostly.
I think that's a good point about training camp decisions. Rep decisions are not the same as snap decisions. Because if you're grading it like a snap decision, neither of his interceptions have been good decisions. The interception he threw to Xavier McKinney, I forget who the intended receiver was. It might have been Dontayvion Wicks.
It was Wicks.
But it was underthrown, right?
It was underthrown.
It was not only underthrown, he should have never thrown it. Like, it was bracket coverage. There was no window there, so it was begging for an interception, especially, when an all-pro safety is in the vicinity. Yeah. But it's training camp. He's probably not throwing that in September, right? Who knows how the one today goes when he's got – you're right, he had pressure. It wasn't a good decision because he threw it right at the linebacker, but it's training camp.
That play. But it's funny because he had a little bit similar concept in that there was a guy in the end zone today, and he put it way in the back, and I don't know if you guys remember that, and it wasn't caught. But it was like either this guy gets it or nobody gets it. Right. And I think maybe he was told that, or maybe he saw it on film like, okay, I can't make that throw. So it's training camp. That's where you
like experiment.
Get yourself into that.
You got to push the envelope this time of year. The only thing I'm wondering is the accuracy of the throws, because he's made some really good throws, and then he's just missed throws, and the accuracy's kind of been hit and miss. But one is training camp. Two, for me, I don't know if you guys feel differently. For me, I don't feel like I'm going to learn a whole lot about Jordan Love one way or the other. Outside the mobility, I think that's significant. I'm not going to learn a whole lot about Jordan Love this training camp. It's not until the winning moments come week 1, and okay, it's fourth quarter, it's a close game. Do you have the consistency there? And then week 2, week 3, week 4, as the season progresses, that's where he is now. Like training camp, like 2 years ago, 2023. We charted everything because we had no idea. Now we know he's pretty good, and he needs to get better. There's a step he's got to take for this team to become a eminent Super Bowl contender. We don't know if he will. We won't know if he will until the games start to happen.
I will say this. I mean, there's clearly not a quarterback battle, but Malik Willis has actually had some pretty impressive moments as well. I'm not even going to like the touchdown on this Sunday. First off, it was an excellent route by Matthew Golden, just cut in, and like I said, Willis threw a nice little ball. I don't know. I'm still one of those guys. I wonder, do you find some way to still try to utilize him? I don't know. Am I just kind of talking crazy? There's a skill set there. The way he can move the ball, and like I said, if he continually works on throwing it, I mean,
I keep thinking, the guy I keep watching is Clifford, because if Clifford is any halfway decent, then they can trade Malik Willis, and then all of a sudden they're, looking at a pretty decent draft pick to some team who really needs a quarterback, because someone's going to need a quarterback at some point, So, I thought he's you could tell he's more confident, He held the ball so long last year when he was passing and missed a lot of open guys, and here he's getting rid of the ball. He unloads it. That throw to Golden was a rocket. It was too high, but Golden made an unbelievable two-hand catch. I mean, that guy doesn't body any catches.
No, he doesn't.
It's all hands.
No, all hands.
He's been pretty impressive the first week for whatever shorts and helmet means.
Yeah. I want to ask you what you think Malik Willis would fetch as far as a draft pick, but that's probably we're going to wait. We're going to wait because we got to see what he's going to do this preseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if he has a good preseason, I think that'd be a really interesting question. But I'm gonna sit on that. Matthew Golden, his hands are as advertised, and when I did the story on him after the draft, talked to basically every coach that's ever coached him. They all said the same thing. This kid's the most natural pass catcher they've ever seen. It's all hands. He does not drop anything. You get some body catchers, right? The Jeff Janices of the world back in the day.
Antonio Freeman was a huge body catcher.
You get some body. He is not a body catcher. The way he catches the football, but he had the double move. Oh man, it was on a corner and a linebacker. I think Hopper was the linebacker 2 days ago in practice, where he just catches it in the right flat, and he just, it was one of those. Usually the moves after the catch, I try not to make too much out of them because they're not in pads, it's not live. But it was one of those okay, that's legit. You could see that on Sundays. He made two guys legitimately miss, so he can do that. He's a good route runner. He's a natural hands catcher. He hasn't dropped anything, right?
No.
Yeah, I haven't seen him drop anything.
No.
I don't see everything, but I haven't seen him drop anything. He's going to be. He sure looks like he's going to be ready week 1.
He's going to be someone to watch week 1. I'm a little leery about his size and how that's going to play out, but having him and Jaden Reed as two motion guys, now you're starting to do Andy Reid kind of stuff, or Sean McVay kind of stuff, where you've got these speed receivers and you're sending them in every direction. And, that's a big advantage if they're able to do that. And you could see in the second and third day that LaFleur's been starting to do that a little bit more, to take a look. Yeah. What it's like to have Reed and Golden on the field together.
What I wonder could be different than Reed and McVay is this is also an offense. You talk about that pre-snap motion stuff. That's all based in deception, right? This is also an offense that sure looks like, if Luke Musgrave can stay healthy, this is an offense that can play a lot of 12 personnel, which can be a very deceptive personnel. So now you got that pre-snap motioning, two of those guys, a lot of creativity there out of a 12 personnel. That'd be like a Matt LaFleur being at a toy store.
It's a lot of options, and especially with Golden, I wish there's something in my life I could do as naturally as he does, just running around and catching a football. It's very impressive. But I will say this too. Again, we keep saying we can't take too much out of it, but I will even say all the other receivers that have returned, it seems like at least mentally and physically they are in good places. And same thing, I haven't seen that many drops just throughout some of these workouts. And one guy, too, that we have talked to is Dontayvion Wicks. It was really interesting with him to hear him kind of talk about this over the past couple of days. He admitted his confidence was shaken after, you could say, the game in Brazil, had a few drops, and it just took him a while to kind of rebound. And obviously on the back half of the season, he did do a little bit better. And he still, despite getting a lot of targets, had a lot of drops. But throughout you could say that second half of the season was a little bit, like I said, more improved. I guess what were your takeaways from your conversation with Wicks and just how he handled last season and, just his mindset heading into this year?
Yeah, we mentioned the touchdown, right? We mentioned Jordan Love's mobility on the boot, but we just kind of glossed over it. Yeah, it's Dontayvion Wicks caught the ball, and that was a wide open catch because Dontayvion Wicks ran a great route on that. He knew he had the post. He undercut Xavier McKinney, was wide open middle field. But it was also one of those where if your confidence is not high in catching the ball, it was enough time. It hung up there enough because Love didn't have to laser it in there. It hung up there enough to get in your head, right? And he had no problem. He caught the ball. Dontayvion Wicks had 3 drops in the opener last year in Brazil against the Eagles. The next 2 weeks, he doesn't have his quarterback. He's got Malik Willis. Week 4, Jordan Love comes back from the sprained MCL. He has 3 more drops, 2 on third down, another 4 touchdown. Now, he also had 2 touchdowns that day. He had some numbers, but he had 13 targets against the Vikings week 4 and only 5 catches. And then it kind of, he admitted, football was not fun at that point. He was too hard on himself. His confidence was down. Matt LaFleur said today that there were some moments that you saw the frustration come through. It was very real. But 6 drops in the first 4 games, the first 2 games he had with Jordan Love, he ended with 12, 13. So half of those came in the last 3 quarters of the season, right? It's not like he never dropped a ball again, but they did get much better, and he felt more comfortable by midway point of last season in a way that he was playing cleaner. Yeah. he feels really good now. I think that's great, and it's, you for a guy that had the season he had last year, getting a good start to camp is ideal, but it's also July. What happens in September when the real trial comes? When he drops a pass, because it's going to happen, he's going to drop a pass again. How does he respond? Does he let that spiral or not? I think that's the real question.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about defense. There's two guys. Obviously, there's a bunch of different guys that I've been interested in, but I think there's two new guys that have kind of stood out in different ways. Isaiah Simmons and Nate Hobbs. Those have been two guys I've been keeping an eye out on and just watching kind of a different element that they brought. First off, when I look at Simmons, I'm like, he's just a big guy, tall. Huge. Like his length, his arms, it's really interesting when I saw him in the huddle with the defense and how he can kind of overpower a few of those guys. And then watching Nate Hobbs come in and just bring in a physicality and really seems to be kind of gelling in well with these guys. As far as you defensively, just through some of these workouts, has there been guys that you've kind of been looking at or anything that's been interesting that you've seen so far?
I've just been looking at the rotations at corner, safety a little bit too. Like, there's not much going on anywhere else in terms of the lineup. That's what I'm always focused on, is what's the depth chart look like. And there's been a few things that I've seen in terms of the depth chart. Right now, Hobbs and Nixon are the starting corners, Bullard's the nickel. But then, Kalen King has been the other nickel. Or sometimes they move Hobbs inside as a nickel and bring in Carrington Valentine. Carrington Valentine's had
really
a great start. Again, we have to continually get the caveat that this is like flag football right now. So, and that's the thing, even for a guy like Wicks or Matthew Golden, when Nate Hobbs is in your grill, at the line of scrimmage, how are you going to react? Right now you're getting free releases and things like that. Conversely, Nate Hobbs is going to have to stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. It has been part of his problem with the Raiders, and because he's so physical, he's looking to punish people. So that's been noticeable. Simmons is an incredible athlete. I mean, there's a reason he's picked number 8 in the first round, however many years ago it was. But for whatever reason, he can't get on the field. He hasn't been able to get on the field. Now, whether it's football acumen, whether it's confidence, I don't know. But, I mean, he was a special teams player for the New York Giants last year. So he looks like, he should be the first guy coming off the bus, when you arrive at the stadium.
Yeah.
But I'm not penciling him in anywhere because for whatever reason, he's just not done it.
Yeah. I wonder if it's system. Like, he talked about this system right now with Halfley's, like he's really able to focus on linebacker, and he's not thinking about safety. He's not worried about any of these other positions. He's been able to kind of hone in on that. Maybe that could be a difference. I don't know. Would have been just your takeaways.
I think there's a lot there. He likes that he's here and only focusing on one spot, because when you got a guy that looks like he could be the first off the bus, that's a guy that looks like he can play anywhere you put him, and that's how he was treated early in his career. Wherever we need, just put Isaiah Simmons there because he's the first guy off the bus. Now he can actually just focus on one position. I don't know what's going to happen there. But it's very clear that the Packers are very in earnest in trying to find out. Like, he's getting plenty of first-team reps. Now, Quay Walker's not on the field yet. But even still, like, he's getting the kind of reps that you give someone when you want to really find out what he's got and what you might have there. I don't know what the answer is yet. It's way too early to know. But they're going to try to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a starter, quote unquote. He's playing strong side linebacker, which is on the field like 20% of the time, during the season. I mean, Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker are going to be on the field every down. That If they're healthy, they're the two linebackers. Then you got a third linebacker, which was what Eric Wilson played last year. Only now you've got Isaiah McDuffie as a third guy. So can Simmons outperform Isaiah McDuffie? Do they? That's what it comes down to. That they're looking for that third guy. It's always possible they could find a specialty place for Simmons in the nickel. Like a 3 linebacker set nickel kind of thing. I think Hafley did that last year a little bit. So they're definitely trying to figure out what they got with him.
He's where he can help is as that strong side linebacker, because other than Quay Walker, they have had nobody with the prototypical size and the tangibles to be that strong side linebacker. You need a bigger guy that is big enough to take on, but also has the speed and is not just clunky out there. Like, that's Isaiah Simmons. It's also Quay Walker, but he's your Mike, and that's how they've used him. So you're not moving your Mike to Sam. So even at those 20%, like, he actually gives them a prototype there physically to be able to play that position that they did not have really all of last year. That might help when you're playing the Detroit Lions. You're playing some of these run-oriented teams, right? And you're more in base. That's not nothing. But can he do it? It's early. We have to find out, and the Packers, I think, again, are very much trying to find out what this incredible athlete can and cannot do with football.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. And I want to go back to you, Spoon. You had mentioned Kalen King, one of the corners in the mix. I know you had the chance to talk with him on this Sunday, and even Matt LaFleur was complimentary of his first 3 days of camp. I guess, what were your takeaways from just that conversation with him?
Well, really what interested me was, so he was a 7th-round pick last year. 2 years ago, Carrington Valentine was a 7th-round pick, and this year Micah Robinson's a 7th-round pick. And Valentine has kind of created the blueprint for how do you become a 7th-round, or how do you take being a 7th-round pick and make the best of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's done, and he's really come on, and he's gonna if he keeps playing like this, he's really bulked up. I noticed that a lot. His tackling was terrible last year, and I think that's probably part of it. And if he keeps playing like that, he's going to force himself onto the field. Yep. And that's what he did last year. He forced himself onto the roster because he kept playing, kept getting better. 2 years ago, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. He forced himself. And, that's kind of what the Packers are hoping Kalen King or Micah Robinson does. Kalen King's a slot guy. He's a smaller guy, and those guys are really valuable. If they can, he's really young. If they can get him to, play like he did at Penn State, then he's got a shot at making the team. But again, he's in a tough spot being a 7th-round pick.
Absolutely. There's no drama at kicker, Ryan Wood.
I love how you just dubbed me as the angry kicker guy.
Because you are.
Roll
the tape. Roll it. No, I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
Mainly because you've marked.
There's nothing more annoying than talking about bad kickers. It just grates me. We all have those things, and that's my thing. So, Brandon McManus is 15 for 15 in camp. I think that's all we really need to say, right? What else is there to say? He's 15 for 15 in camp.
The only other thing to say is the guy from Ireland isn't here yet. He's still trying to get into the country.
Visa.
And I'm really worried that he's in some, ICE facility. Like he got pulled out.
Big story there.
I wonder if the Packers are like, okay, where is he?
Gosh.
What facility is he in? Apparently he was playing in Canada. To get to the U.S., he had to go back to Ireland to get his visa situation so he could come back over to the U.S., so he's not in camp yet. He's not making the team anyways, but, he's the international player, and so that's can be a long-term thing where they what they did with Alex Hale. Maybe if he doesn't make it, they bring Alex Hale back. I don't know, but
that's the question.
Has anybody seen him? You know,
Alex, didn't he have like a freak accident, Alex Hale, or like during this offseason?
Yes, so Alex Hale was their international guy, and in the month between minicamp and the start of training camp, ball bounced and got him right in the eye, and it tore his retina. And so the Packers, he can't see out of one of his eyes, and so it's about a 3 week injury. So they need a kicker, and so they had to cut him. The possibility is that he could return, but but the Packers found another guy.
That almost happened to me today from a throw from Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah.
It sailed right over our heads.
If I didn't play dodgeball,
There were two things I saw today that every once in a while, because when we're watching practice, it's a good 30, 40, 50 yards away, right? They're in the middle of the field, we're on the sideline. It's not up close. There were two things I saw today up close that, like, when you see it up close, you're like, oh, that was
a bullet.
That is different. One was Jordan Love's pass.
Yes.
And it was just like a regular pass. Like, it was not like he was trying to chuck the thing flying over our head. I mean, that ball was whistling. I'm like, holy. So I just stepped out of the way. I wasn't going to try to put hands up there. I'm like, I'll let that hit the wall, Hopefully it don't hit anyone else. I'm not trying to be a hero,
Yes.
I'm not breaking fingers. And then Rashawn Gary running down Jaden Reed and punching out the football. That is you want to know why he was a Pro Bowler last year? Is those type of plays, because it wasn't just pure raw sack numbers. It was his incredible range, his playing to the whistle, and the violence with which he punched out the football for Jaden Reed. It was incredible. I mean, it was for it to be July and a guy like that making a play like that, a hustle play like that and this type of heat. That was pretty impressive.
I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you might have thought that Love's passed, but you should have been here when Favre was here.
Oh,
because you had to you had to be on your P's and Q's all the time.
Did he ever kill anyone?
Not that I'm aware, but he broke so many fingers. His receivers' fingers. Robert Brooks, broke like every finger on his hand catching stuff from him. But I do remember being in the Hudson Center and one, wayward, and the way it skipped off the turf. If it had your name on it, you were done. But it didn't on that day. Yet you seriously, and especially early in his career, because he never knew where the ball was going, and he threw those, as Holmgren says in one of those clips, stop throwing those rocket balls, or can we? Enough with those rocket balls. So, yeah, you have to be on it all the time.
Yes, you do. That was a rocket. I think I ran a little kid over, too, getting out of the way. I probably did. I don't know.
You're that guy.
I am that guy.
Yeah, you're not saving the children.
Save myself. Save myself. That is the key to success.
We all have one life to live, and we make decisions we do.
That's true. But no one was harmed after that play, but it was pretty crazy.
Except the kid that you ran over.
You okay? I'm sure he's okay. I'll check on him later. Any final words from you guys as we wrap up this show? Anything you're wanting to see when they throw some pads on this week, or you're just ready for it not to be as hot? Any closing remarks?
Yeah, I want to see the one-on-one offensive line. That's going to be real interesting to see. I want to see Belton and, other than that, I guess there's nothing really huge I want to see. Golden, seeing Golden up against the one-on-one drills, the receiver versus corner, that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, that's just my biggest thing, just seeing these young guys in pads and just see how they'll respond in some of those matchups.
That's a big one with Golden. The difference between Matthew Golden and Dontayvion Wicks is that we know he gets jammed. Dontayvion Wicks gets open. Mm-hmm. His open rate last year, according to ESPN Analytics, was top 5 in the league. He just couldn't catch the ball. That's the issue with him. Matthew Golden, we got to see, can he get open against press jam coverage, right? So that'll be interesting. I want to see Isaiah Simmons in pads. I mean, I've seen him for 4 days out of pads now, and he looks like a Pro Bowl linebacker when he's flying around. He's that kind of athleticism. What's the football player like? Like, that's what I'm curious. Like, because he clearly has not stuck despite all this athleticism. I'd like to see what the football player can do in pads.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, like I said, you see those little glimpses of that athleticism, like the tipped-up pass that Carrington Valentine was able to get that interception on the other day. It's like there's those little moments, but
Isaiah Simmons had a rep first day of camp. And I'm going to write about this today. Josh Jacobs in the left flat took a little screen from Jordan Love. Before he could turn upfield, Isaiah Simmons had closed and was right there. And after that practice, Josh Jacobs said, hey, "Guy's a unicorn." Yeah. That's the type of athleticism we're talking about there, but it's never panned out as a football player. It's never crossed over. So I'm curious to see it in pads.
Yeah, so there's a lot that we'll be keeping an eye out on this week. And like I said, looking forward just to seeing some pads and just to see a little bit more of that thud out there and just see what it'll be like, especially with some of these younger guys going up against some vet players. So it's going to be an interesting next few days of camp and moving forward, heading into preseason and more. So, guys, always a pleasure. Really do appreciate you taking the time. And we thank you all for checking out the Green 19 podcast. For Ryan Wood, Tom Silverstein, I'm Dominique Yates.